Welcome back to a very special episode of The Film Defender, where I'm going to be talking about a very specific part of a great movie that tends to get a lot of backlash and criticism unfairly. The final installment of Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings trilogy is one of the greatest cinematic achievements of our time. The accomplishment of tallying up 11 Oscar nominations and 11 victories tells us most of that story, but it was also one of the first films to break the billion-dollar mark at the box office. So why am I talking about it, you might ask? Well, over the years it's perhaps become best known for a single and utterly confounding criticism. Too many endings. Let's examine this for a second. What exactly do we mean when we say endings? Is it a moment where it fades to black? Is it a moment where we feel an emotional release? Or is it a moment where it resolves a character arc? First off, this is the ending to a trilogy of 3-hour-long movies telling one continuous story. It's not something that can be done in a couple of minutes. I'm actually amazed they condensed it as much as they did. With that in mind, I'm going to dissect the last 20 minutes or so of this film and break down exactly why each moment is necessary and monumentally profound for this trilogy. Ending number 1.
Here at the end of all things.
Come on, is this really where people expected this movie to end? We don't know whether the hobbits get back to the Shire, or whether Aragorn even reclaims the throne of Gondor, which is kind of a problem in a movie called Return of the King, or what happens with the ongoing teases of the elves leaving Middle-earth for the Undying Lands. They've set up way too much in the previous 2 films for the story to end here. So why did they make the decision to fade to black, you might ask? Because we've all just experienced a rush of emotions, and we need a second to breathe in what we've seen before heading into the epilogue. It's a beautiful moment, and I think a very poignant way to transition from the final stand against Mordor to the conclusion of the last 9+ hours of film. Ending number 2. The reuniting of the Fellowship. I'm not sure how anybody mistook this for the actual ending, because we haven't even seen what becomes of any of the main characters yet. The one thing we've accomplished in this scene, which is why it's so important to include it in this epilogue, is that Frodo finally gets to see what's happened to his friends and that they're alive and well, especially his mentor Gandalf. It's a heartfelt and joyous reunion for the Fellowship, especially after what each of them has had to suffer and endure throughout this journey. Ending number 3. Aragorn is crowned King of Gondor. This is a tremendously powerful moment for the former Ranger of the North as he fulfills his destiny and returns as the king. The music throughout this trilogy deserves its own set of videos, and it does not disappoint in this moment. This score builds emotion from the previous scenes and makes even the most stubbornly emotionless viewer well up with tears. Who can possibly watch Aragorn turn to his heroic hobbit companions and say,
My friends. You bow to no one.
Without getting emotional? Getting emotional just thinking about it. This scene fulfills the character arc of Aragorn beautifully and shows us what the legacy of these characters will be in Middle-earth from then onward. Even then, though, we can't cut to credits just yet. Ending number 4. The Grey Havens. For people who were dragged to the theater to see Return of the King, I can see why they might get a little bit impatient at this point. For anyone who is even remotely invested in these characters, however, this is a critical and heartbreaking finale that ties this ending into an immaculately beautiful bow. This scene shows us that Gandalf, Galadriel, Bilbo, and finally Frodo are all destined to depart from Middle-earth to the Undying Lands. It's an incredibly touching metaphor for departing this life, as well as the enduring legacy of this immortal tale. All of these characters will live on in one way or another, and I suppose the same could be said of all of us. And finally, we're on to ending number 5.
Well, I'm back.
It's a 30-second scene to close the book, pardon the pun, on this epic trilogy in the same way that the literal book concluded. It's so simple, yet it's symbolic of what all of us must do in life when things end. There are still pages for us to write our own stories. As you can probably tell, I dearly love this film, and each of these endings hold a special place in my heart as well. Hopefully by breaking them down in this way, I'm able to draw your attention to the beauty and power that each of these scenes gives to the story at large. Lord of the Rings is a 3-film, 9+ hour long epic that more than deserves whatever indulgences they take in this wrap-up. Whatever you think of these endings, at least they didn't add in the scouring of the Shire scene from the books. where Frodo and the other hobbits have to literally reclaim the Shire from Wormtongue and Saruman. How anticlimactic would that finale be after we've already defeated the ultimate evil? And a lot of the Tolkien fans were complaining about its omission from the final cut, which would have added at least another half hour of running time. You just can't win with some people. Anyway, what did you guys think of this experimental format? Are there more excellent films out there that have a single criticism that tends to overshadow their award-winning reputations? Let me know in the comments section below. We'll be back with the regular format soon when my partner in crime and I return to discuss Prometheus in anticipation of next month's Alien Covenant. Hope to see you guys then. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more film defenses to come, and until next time, the defense rests.